Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 192 based on novel. So let's start. In the sky above Jinyao City, at this moment, the big array dispersed, a sky-wide lacquer black light column stood impressively, and a large group of people were gathering here. They stared at the two people who appeared in front of the black light column in the field, and their eyes were full of surprise. Not far in front of the two people, the people of the Array Mage Association were staring at the two people. The mood in their hearts suddenly tightened up when the white-robed young man said his name. Qin Yun. This name may be strange to most people, but for their Array Mage Association, it is famous and contains great energy. Zhe didn't know it was Prince Qin just now. If you offend me, please forgive me. Seeing the white-robed youth in front of him, Cheng Zhehui's anger went out in an instant. He quickly lowered his head and bowed to the two people in front of him. It doesn't matter. Those who don't know are innocent. I'm not such a narrow-minded person. Let's stop this. But now, I don't allow you to come any closer. Qin Yun raised his white and proud cheek and stared at Cheng Zhehui and his party opposite with a dull tone. This. Hearing Qin Yun's words, Cheng Zhehui frowned. Jin Yaocheng was not allowed to refine pills, which was stipulated by the president of the Array Mage Association. For so many years, no one can break it. Once Xiao Yan successfully refined pills today and is not investigated, will the Array Mage Association lose all its face? Once the seal is sealed and blamed, even if Cheng Zhehui is the number 4 figure of the Array Mage Association, he can't afford it. Qi Ming, I have already sent Yang He to tell you that no one is allowed to move. It seems that you don't take my child's words to heart. Seeing the embarrassment on Cheng Zhehui's face, Qin Yun also knew that he couldn't do it. Therefore, he looked directly at the southwest, where the square in the center of the city is located, and at the same time, the black stone pillar stands towering. Others didn't know, but Qin Yun knew very well that there was a huge hall under the stone pillar and under the ground, where the Array Mage Association was really located in Jinyao City. Hehe, you blame me for this, young lord. Since you asked me personally, our Array Mage Association naturally wants to give you this face, but my subordinates don't know who the medicine refiner is. They just act according to the rules. Please don't embarrass them. Soon after Qin Yun's words fell, the emptiness before them was distorted again. Then, a middle-aged figure in a gold robe appeared in front of Cheng Zhehui and blocked the people of the Dry Array Mage Association behind him. With the appearance of this person, the eyes of everyone in the field also shifted at this moment and fell on the middle-aged man. Most of the middle-aged array mags in the same city are ordinary, dressed in golden robes, with black hair and golden hair crown. They look elegant and look like a scholar. But everyone who knows him knows that although he looks ordinary, he is a real 4th-order array mage. In addition, he is even more a strong man of 8 stars. These accomplishments and identities are already not inferior to the Chen array in the Western Wasteland. If I don't embarrass them, will I embarrass you? Seeing this person, Qin Yun's eyes flickered slightly and a cold hum came out from his nose again, but his face recovered a lot. After all, the person in front of him is also the vice president of the Array Mage Association. Even Qin Yun can't be careless about the latter. At least, it's not that time yet. Seeing this, Qi Ming bowed down and apologized to Qin Yun, arched his hands, and said with a smile, "Child Qin, I'll compensate them for you next time." Qin Yun's eyes narrowed, but it was hard to entangle again. Of course, the result now is naturally what he wants to see most. Seeing that Qin Yun didn't move, Qi Ming turned around and shouted at the people of the Array Mage Association behind him. Immediately, the people were timid and hurried back. However, in a twinkling of an eye, there were only Qin Yun and Qi Ming who had just appeared, as well as the people around, even those who were related to the Array Mage Association. They didn't dare to stay for a moment and hurried away. Hehe, I'm busy with business. If Child Qin doesn't mind, then let's go, but I hope such a thing won't happen again. That's nature. Qi Ming smiled and then disappeared into the void again. Immediately, Qin Yun looked at the huge light column behind him. There was a sharp light flashing in his eyes, and his eyes were full of surprise. puppet he has never seen before, but he has never seen such a strange puppet. He can swallow Danlei and enhance his strength. From now on, the strength of the North King has entered the ranks of the middle stage of the 5-star fighting emperor. However, even so, the strength of the North King is still increasing. Looking at this momentum, I'm afraid it may break through the 6-star fighting emperor. 6-star fighting emperor, isn't that like me? Qin Yun was slightly surprised. It seems that Xiao Yang is not an ordinary person. In the crowd, Han Dong also stared at Qin Yun in the field in surprise. He felt a burst of doubt. Although he was not familiar with the latter, he also knew that Qin Yun was not what he looked like. He absolutely had a purpose in everything he did, but his behavior today was somewhat unexpected. With this in mind, Han Dong's heart can't help but be more curious. Who is the person refining medicine in the attic at the moment, who can actually let Qin Yun come forward? At the same time, 3 figures stood out in the underground hall of the Array Mage Association. Well, did you find anything? In the hall, an old man in brocade robes asked Qi Mingning, who had just appeared. At the same time, another old man with gold robes and white hair also looked at Qi Ming. Qi Ming frowned, shook his head and said, "I don't know. The man's soul power is extremely powerful, not even under you and me. Moreover, there seems to be something mixed in it. There is a special power. He completely resists my soul power. I can't explore the situation in the attic." What? Hearing that the soul power of the alchemist was not under them, the faces of the 2 people in the temple suddenly changed dramatically. It's no small matter that a soul power is comparable to that of the 3 of them. Judging from Qin Yun's actions just now, he seems to care about this person very much. There are not many people in the western regions who can make him pay attention to. Who on earth is he? The 3 people looked at each other, and the questions in their hearts gathered on Xiao Yang at this moment. In the twinkling of an eye, the time of the day passed at a glance. Until the sky was hazy, the black pillar of light that connected the sky dispersed, and the Beiwang in the middle was exposed to the air again. Along with the black pillar, there were thunderclouds in the sky. Until this moment, Dan Lei was regarded as officially dissipated. Xiao Yang, who had been sitting in the attic all day, finally opened his eyes at this moment. "Hey, Mr. Xiao Yang, I wonder if you can show up." Although the crowd had already dispersed, Qin Yun insisted on waiting. At the moment, the light column dispersed, which not only attracted the attention of many people in the city, but also made Qin Yun feel a little relieved. Seeing the auction approaching, he couldn't see Xiao Yang. Almost at the same time, on an attic not too far away from here, Han Dong, dressed in brocade robes, felt a sudden jump in his heart. He couldn't help feeling a burst of surprise. The name of Qin Yun's mouth was Xiao Yang, who had a relationship with him in Shahapao more than 3 months ago. The latter's amazing talent for refining medicine and strong cultivation have made Han Dong remember it in his heart. Especially now, Xiao Yang has joined the alliance of herbalists and is a member of their alliance. Han Dong's memory of the latter is particularly clear. But what he didn't expect was that the name of the person Qin Yun called at this time was Xiao Yang. But I don't know whether this Xiao Yang and that Xiao Yang will be the same person. The same strong medicine refining talent. At the moment, the soul power of Xiao Yang in Jinyao City has reached the level of a 4th-order medicine refiner. So, are these 2 really just the same name? In other words, in this short period of 3 months, Xiao Yang's soul power has jumped from the 3rd-order herbalist to the 4th-order herbalist. This is a little ridiculous. With doubts in his heart, Han Dong quickly moved closer to the auction house. In the bedroom, Xiao Yang listened to the voice of words from the top of the roof, but he couldn't help frowning slightly. It's really surprising that this guy can persist until now. After a little meditation in his heart, Xiao Yang's body shook slightly. He also got up from the bed, thought a little, took back the soul power of the 4 walls of the house, opened the door and jumped into the air. Xiao Yang first came to the North King's body and looked at the North King with purple and gold color all over his body. Xiao Yang's eyes couldn't help shining slightly, and his fingertips condensed a sharp fighting spirit. He crossed over the North King's body like a sharp blade, but he didn't even see a trace. Hiss. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yang's eyes coagulated and his heart was pleasantly surprised. Even if he took the North King into the ring, his eyes turned and looked at Qin Yun not far away. Child Qin Yun, thank you for today's business. Ha ha, what Brother Xiao Yang said is nothing trivial. But I didn't expect that you and I were just one-sided. I'm really lucky that Brother Xiao Yang can remember my name. When Qin Yun came forward, he smiled at Xiao Yang with an arched hand. His handsome face was full of kind smiles. He didn't seem to care about what happened during the day. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang also smiled and echoed a few words. A burst of happy laughter came out between the two people. Almost at the same time, on an attic not far from the two people, Han Dong stared at the two people in the void, especially when looking at the young man in black. His eyes couldn't help but look surprised. It's really him. The turbid eyes swept Xiao Yang's body. Then Han Dong looked at Qin Yun. Xiao Yang's presence here really surprised him, but his appearance was the most fatal. How did they get together? It's troublesome. Han Dong frowned and felt dignified for Qin Yun's appearance. Ha, although I know you are a herbalist, Brother Xiao Yang, I didn't expect you to be able to refine level 4 pills. It really opened my eyes. Qin Yun looked at Xiao Yang sincerely with such a smile. It seemed that he felt comfortable. In addition, what had happened in the daytime, even if it made Xiao Yang feel a little good about the latter. The two talked with each other for several times, and the relationship seemed to be harmonious. During this period, Qin Yun asked Xiao Yang about the refined fourth order pill from time to time. Xiao Yang put it aside one by one, which caused Qin Yun to laugh awkwardly. Han Dong in the distance felt a little relieved when he saw this. For a long time, Qin Yun just left with Yang He. Xiao Yang couldn't help feeling a burst of doubt as he looked at the two men disappearing into the night. Judging from the previous conversation between the two, the latter seemed to have no malice towards him. In addition, the two met by chance. According to Qin Yun, the reason why he helped himself was only because he admired Xiao Yang's talent, but it was precisely because of this that Xiao Yang always felt that there was something wrong in his heart. However, not long after Qin Yun left, Xiao Yang returned to the attic. Now, although the Xingshan pill has been refined, Xiao Yang's soul power and fighting spirit have been greatly consumed. After a day of cultivation, Xiao Yang has only recovered from fighting spirit. As for soul power, it is not so easy to recover except rest. Therefore, in the next few days, until the beginning of the auction, Xiao Yang was afraid that she could only restore her strength in her bedroom. Seeing Xiao Yang returning to the attic, Han Donggang wanted to do something, but then the latter found that on another attic close to Xiao Yang's attic, a figure in black suddenly appeared and quietly monitored Xiao Yang's attic in the dark. That's Yanhe. Han Dong's heart sank when he saw this man. He didn't expect Qin Yun to have such a means. It seems that he is also worried about whether Xiao Yang will really believe him. It seems that it won't work if he wants to get close to Xiao Yang now. He can only wait for another opportunity. With this in mind, although Han Dong was unwilling, he had to retreat reluctantly. At the same time, Xiao Yang, who returned to the bedroom, simply lay down on the bed, and the soul power wrapped the whole attic. But for a moment, Xiao Yang fell asleep. This sleep is 3 days. For the next 3 days, Xiao Yang has been in deep sleep. The soul power consumed madly in the past 2 months also recovers slowly in this deep sleep. Xiao Yang's pale face has also returned to ruddy, and his breath has become thicker than 2 months ago. Indeed, he is extremely consumed by fighting spirit. It is also an alternative way of refining one's own strength. It was not until the evening of the 3rd day that Xiao Yang, who was dizzy, gradually woke up from his deep sleep. Up to now, his breath also recovered. Xiao Yang slept for 3 days. During this period, Qin Yun didn't know how many times he had come, but no one answered the door and closed the door for him. Although he was unwilling to do so, Qin Yun was still angry and calmly waited for Xiao Yang's awakening. In another attic close to Xiao Yang's attic, Yang He has been here for 3 days and has been paying attention to Xiao Yang's movements, which makes Han Dong unable to get close to Xiao Yang. Until now, Xiao Yang in the bedroom woke up faintly. The bleary eyes opened slightly trembling, and the scene in front of him became clear from blur. He slept for 3 days. Although it was a long time, at least it made Xiao Yang's state recover a lot. Moreover, He hasn't slept like this for too long. After a little movement, Xiao Yan just wanted to walk out of the door, but then he seemed to think of something. A light containing excitement burst out in his eyes. He quickly raised his palm and read it. The ring between his fingers flashed slightly. Then, a milky white energy light with the size of a washbasin appeared in Xiao Yang's hand. This light group is the ghost of Xiao Xian. Ancestors. Seeing this light group, Xiao Yang's heart was filled with excitement, but he quickly retreated, frowned, and stared at the milky energy light group in front of him. He was very surprised. Xiao Xian clearly had swallowed up the soul origin of the 7 people, but he still couldn't wake up. Although supported by the soul origin of the 7 strong fighting emperors, Xiao Xian still seemed unable to wake up. Those soul forces were not enough to make up for the trauma suffered by Xiao Xian. With this in mind, Xiao Yang couldn't help but sink a little. It seems that Xiao Xian's state is more troublesome than he thought. However, just when Xiao Yangang wanted to receive it again, Xiao Yang clearly saw that a thin faint light suddenly flashed on the surface of the light group. Hey! Seeing this scene, Xiao Yang was overjoyed. He was sure that it was not his mistake, but the origin of Xiao Xian's soul, which did send a signal to him. With a surprise in his heart, Xiao Yang looked at the origin of the soul a little. Immediately, he hesitated, stretched out a finger and touched the origin of the soul in front of him. Boom! At this moment, an extremely powerful soul wave swept through the source of the soul, like an invisible storm, and instantly broke the soul barrier arranged by Xiao Yang. The powerful soul storm rushed out of the attic and shocked the Yang He, who was always paying attention to the movement here for several steps. At the moment of looking up, an old face was shocked, and his face became white. What a terrible soul power! Who is this person? Yang He was full of panic. He had just felt such a powerful soul power on those in the Array Mage Association. However, at present, there is another guy with such a powerful soul power. Who is he? At the same time, Xiao Yang in the bedroom at this time was also shocked by the powerful soul power emitted from the source of the soul in front of him. Such a powerful soul power is unmatched even by him, but why did Xiao Xian not wake up? Although he felt very confused in his heart, now the soul barrier wrapped in the attic has been broken and there is no defense. This can make Xiao Yang feel a lot of pressure. He had to put away the source of the soul in front of him. As soon as he turned around, he already appeared in front of the door. At this time, in the distant sky, a young man in a white robe was flying faintly. It's Qin Yun. Come so fast. With a secret way in his heart, Xiao Yang quickly accumulated a smile on his face, bowed his hands to the latter from a distance, and said with a smile, "Brother Qin Yun, I haven't seen you for a few days. It's a lot thicker. Haha, you're welcome, Brother Xiao Yang. I come to you every day these days. Unfortunately, you don't answer the door every time. I think it's too hard to refine medicine and I'm resting, so I don't bother much." Qin Yun also hugged Xiao Yang from a distance, with a warm smile on his face. At a glance, it makes people feel good. Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang's eyes twinkled slightly, smiled and shrugged his shoulders. I don't know why Brother Qin Yun came here today. Xiao Yang smiled and said, Haha, Brother Xiao Yang, I didn't come here today for a big deal. I mainly wanted to have a chat with my brother. In addition, I wanted to prevent a group of bastards from the Array Mage Association. They are not broad-minded guys. You have violated their rules now. I'm afraid they will be bad for you. At least they don't dare to come openly with me. Well, thank you, Brother Qin Yun. Nodded with gratitude. Since the latter had said so, it was really hard for him to think more. Then, Xiao Yang invited the latter into the attic. In the living room, they took their seats respectively. Then Qin Yun looked up at Xiao Yang and said, Brother Xiao Yang, the reason why you can refine this fourth order pill is also for this auction. Did the forces who came to this city still come to drink tea? Xiao Yang smiled jokingly. When the latter heard the speech, his face immediately showed an embarrassing smile, and immediately took a shortcut. So, Brother Xiao Yang should have got the key to the auction. You mean the ring? Yes, that's the entrance key from the auction house. Only with that ring can you enter the auction house. I'm afraid you wouldn't live here if it wasn't for this reason. Qin Yun smiled. This is the attic where the auction house is specially used to receive important guests. If not for the people who participated in the auction, they would never have the opportunity to live here. We know that up to now, there will be no more than 10 forces who can live in this attic area. Because, to live here, although it depends on whether you have tickets, but at the same time, you pay more attention to strength. After all, the world respects the strong. The strength of strength has determined the way others treat. The fact that Xiao Yang can live here has proved that Xiao Yang's strength has met the requirements of the auction house. Even some old forces in the western regions are not qualified. A strong man can always easily get the respect and awe of others. Now Xiao Yang is just like this. A total of 500 rings were distributed. That is to say, at this auction, we can see some of the top forces in the western regions. It can be said that the forces gathered at the auction are all super forces on the side of famous towns. Their inside information is even more amazing. Hearing this, Xiao Yang could not help but feel a little nervous. 500, that is, 500 really powerful forces in the western regions. These forces are all the strong among the strong. In order to get the ring, these forces constantly compete with each other. The process is a struggle of blood and flesh. The forces who can finally get the ring are naturally extremely powerful. The auction house does this. It can be said that it is a perfect arrangement of the forces in the western regions. The top 500 will be fully presented at the auction. Such a grand event, I'm afraid it's unprecedented prosperity. By the way, what does Brother Xiao Yang think of the Fusang flower? Just when Xiao Yang was secretly shocked, Qin Yun turned his voice and fell on the Fuso flower that Xiao Yang is most concerned about. Fusang flower is Xiao Yang's main goal to participate in the auction. It is imperative to get Fusang flower. Once he succeeds, it is doomed that Xiao Yang's soul power will be greatly improved, so as to become a fourth-order herbalist at one stroke. This kind of thing can't calm Xiao Yang. The hibiscus flower has 5 petals, but this hibiscus flower has 6 petals. It's strange. I don't dare to make a conclusion before I saw it with my own eyes. I'm just curious about why this hibiscus flower has 6 petals. I've never heard of 6 hibiscus flowers since ancient times. What Brother Xiao Yang said is exactly what I'm nervous about. 6-petal hibiscus, which is not only the biggest selling point of the auction, but also the biggest leak in the auction. After all, no one can guarantee the quality of this hibiscus. Once the variation is strange, it will only harm us. I'm afraid this is also the real reason why its owner auctioned it. Hearing Xiao Yang's words, even with Qin Yun's mind, he couldn't help feeling worried. Obviously, even his heart was full of doubt about Fusang flower, but it was related to Fusang ancient spirit tree. Whether it was true or false, he had to come and have a look. After that, they talked in the attic for a long time. The topic has always been around Fuzanghua. Unfortunately, because they didn't know about it, they had to frown and sigh helplessly. Unknowingly, it was another day. It was not until the evening that Qin Yun left the attic where Xiao Yang was. Shortly after Xiao Yang left, he turned his head and came to another attic not far from the latter. Here, Yang He has frowned and waited for a long time. Little Lord. As soon as he entered the door, Yenhe made a respectful voice. Well, what's his reaction these 3 days? Entering the attic, Qin Yun walked straight past Yang He, and sat down before he came to the main seat. Lord Hui, my subordinates are preparing to tell you about it. Yang He looked solemn, and his old face was still a trace of pale color. Well, what's going on? What's going on? Say. Seeing the pale color on the latter's face, Qin Yun first frowned slightly, and then asked. Young lord, this morning. Yang He told Qin Yun about his injury by the soul force during the day. What are you talking about? Who is that? The soul power alone can repel you. Isn't Xiao Yang the one who makes pills? This. Subordinates don't know, but one thing is certain, that the soul power definitely doesn't belong to Xiao Yang. Qin Yun's palm on the handrail immediately clenched. Because of his strength, there were a trace of cracks on the stone handrail. At the moment, the latter's face was heavy, and he didn't dare to have the slightest carelessness in his heart. He really didn't expect what Yang He said. During the day, although he entered the attic where Xiao Yang lived, he did not find anything, especially Xiao Yang's bedroom, which was covered by the latter's soul power and could not be investigated at all, which was invisible and increased Qin Yun's doubts. Is there another fourth-level herbalist in his bedroom? With this in mind, Qin Yun frowned deeper. If so, I'm afraid his plan will fail. But this matter is now imminent. The auction is about to begin. If you can't find a candidate before that, wouldn't you waste such a good opportunity? Look again, keep an eye on him. No matter what the relationship between the herbalist and him is, he must not disturb my plan. Yes, my subordinates understand. Yang He was slightly surprised and hurriedly said. After giving these instructions, Qin Yun left the attic and walked towards his residence in the city. However, when he left the attic, he did not find that in the dark night, a figure in black robe was standing in the air, watching Qin Yun leave the attic, and then looking at the face covered under the black robe. Not Xiao Yang, but who could it be? Qin Yun. Although I don't know who you are and what you're going to do when you find me, if you have ulterior motives, I don't mind killing another strong fighter. Although Qin Yun is guarded by Yang He, Xiao Yang, who has successfully promoted Tianjuabu to Lingyun, is not afraid of the latter in speed alone. In addition, Tianjuabu's terrible increase in combat power, combined with his various means, even if the other party is the 9-star fighting emperor, Xiao Yang is equally powerful. Therefore, if Qin Yun has an evil heart towards him, Xiao Yang will not be stingy to kill him. Xiao Yang thinks he has never been a kind-hearted person. He only depends on how the other party treats him. If he deceives him, just like Qin Yun now, it's the most shameful for Xiao Yang. Now, it's up to Qin Yun to treat him. This time, after Qin Yun left, he didn't meet Xiao Yang again until the day when the auction began. The latter also took another 3 days off in the bedroom until his state completely recovered to the peak, which was the day when the auction opened. Finally, after 2.5 months of waiting, today, it's time to reveal people's questions. In the bedroom, Xiao Yang's closed eyes slowly opened and his body flashed. He had come to the door. He stretched out his hand and opened the door inward to meet the noise outside the door and the warm and dazzling sunshine. Fu Zhanghua, I'm coming. Out of the door, Xiao Yang looked out and looked down. The whole city was full of black heads. The turbulent flow of people was like dense ants. At this time, these people were constantly squeezing into the direction of the auction market. Looking at the dark crowd in the city, Xiao Yang shook his head and sighed. Although these people knew that Fusang flowers would appear at the auction, they didn't seem to know that people without that ring were not allowed by the auction place at all. Although there are many people in the city at the moment, this can't change the decision of the auction house. A group of semi-emperors. Under the authority of the strong, these people will naturally retreat obediently. In the face of absolute strength, the number of people can't decide anything at all. Thinking of this, Xiao Yang turned around and was about to go in the direction of the auction house. At this time, Wu Gang's figure flew from a distance. In the twinkling of an eye, it had come to Xiao Yang. He, Xiao Yang, the auction will begin soon. I'm here to invite you in. When he came near, Wu Gang smiled and hugged Xiao Yang. The latter also hugged Xiao Yang and replied, "Thank you, brother Wu Gang." Although Wu Gang is not very familiar with him, Xiao Yang is quite fond of him. Naturally, he is much more polite. "Let's go." Wu Gang smiled and nodded. He stretched out his hand and made an invitation gesture to Xiao Yang. They paced together, stepped on the void and flew away to the auction house. I didn't expect that little brother Xiao Yang was still a fourth-order herbalist. It's amazing. On the way, Wu Gang finally couldn't help talking to Xiao Yang about the scene he saw a few days ago. I have to say that even at this moment, Wu Gang's heart was shocked, but he couldn't think that the young-looking young man beside him would be a fourth-order pharmacist. If only looking at his accomplishments, he can reach the 5-star fighting emperor at such an age. This kind of cultivation talent is indeed a word of terror, but there will never be a lack of genius in this continent. Xiao Yang is not the only one who can achieve this. However, the shocking thing is that while Xiao Yang improves his cultivation to the 5-star fighting emperor, it can also raise the soul power to this terrible level. If the former is excusable, the latter is simply impossible. In fact, I'm not a fourth-order herbalist. The reason why I can refine fourth-order pills is only because I use pills. Pill? Hearing this, Wu Gang could not help but coagulate slightly in his eyes, and a chill came out from the bottom of his heart. The elixir that can enhance the power of the soul is not absent in the world, but in his impression, it seems that only the blood soul elixir is the most common one. The blood soul pill takes the soul of a living person as the medicine guide. Refining the blood soul pill requires human life as the price. It can be said to be extremely poisonous. It is the most shameless pill in the drug refining industry. Moreover, the blood soul pill has great side effects, and most people are unwilling to use the blood soul pill. But if Xiao Yang uses the blood soul pill, it can only explain, it's him. Wu Gang is mistaken. Hee, President, don't think about it. The pill I swallowed is called Shengelingden. It is a fourth-order pill. It can improve people's soul power within a period of time. Although it also belongs to many means, it is a feasible choice for a herbalist. Seems to see the suspicion in Wu Gang's heart, but Xiao Yang smiled and said genially. At the same time, Wu Gang couldn't help being stunned. At the same time, an embarrassing smile appeared on his face. It turned out to be a Shengelingden. Tut, it's said that it's very rare, because it's mostly used by herbalists and can hardly be left outside. But it's amazing that Xiao Yang can get this pill. It's really enviable. He smiled and flattered, and then the two people stopped procrastinating, but for a moment, they had come to the auction house. Unfortunately, it had been surrounded by endless people. If they came from the front door, no one would be able to enter. However, Wu Gang, as vice president, naturally has another way. Under the guidance of Wu Gang, Xiao Yang went directly to the special entrance where only the high-level photographers of the store can pass. Here, there are also 2 guards. However, different from other places, the strength of these 2 guards has reached the level of 2-star fighting emperor. I'm afraid the Array Mage Association can't do this with a strong man at the level of 2-star fighting emperor to guard the door. Seeing this scene, even with Xiao Yang's nature of mind, the bottom of his heart can't help feeling surprised. This shooting store is really unusual. Just to protect Wani, and at the same time, I hope to frighten those unruly guys, I invited 2 strong fighting emperors here. Wu Gang smiled casually, but the expression on his face exposed his mood at the moment. The 2 men came to the front. Even if the 2 strong fighters in front of the door saluted them with fists, they were different from others. After all, they were solid strong fighters with their own pride in their hearts. In terms of etiquette, the auction house naturally wouldn't have too many requirements. Smiling at them, Xiao Yang and Wu Gang went straight into the auction. Later, when they saw the disappearing back of Xiao Yang and Wu Gang, they couldn't help looking at each other. Their faces showed surprised expressions. Who is this boy who can walk through this door with the vice president? Yes, as far as I know, except for the 2 presidents, only 4 outsiders have entered this door, and those are all famous people in the western regions. But who is this boy? The 2 looked at each other with eyes full of surprise, and there was a burst of sign language in their mouth. No one knew who the mysterious young man in black robe was. They only knew that Qin Yun, even the son of the family, had never walked through the door in front of them, and it was obvious that the mysterious young man in black robe who did not know his origin could be treated like this. The latter is by no means comparable to ordinary people. At the same time, somewhere outside the auction, Qin Yun and Yang He, who followed behind him, slowly moved away from the door. Although the young man beside him looked calm, Yang He felt a very cold chill from him. Even he couldn't bear the chill. This video will end here.